Hey YouTube, it's Merrill, and in this video I'm going to teach you everything that I know about metal detecting the beach. Now, before you listen to anybody, you should ask them about their credentials. Are they able to do that? And I came prepared. Yeah, I have kind of a ring problem that's been going on. Thanos might be jealous of me. I don't claim to know everything about everything, but metal detecting the beach, I have lots of experience. Here's the rest of the rings, by the way. Um, yeah, so it's something that I've done quite a bit of, and I really want to make a video that communicates everything that I know on the topic. It's something that I am passionate about, and if you watch this video from beginning to end, I think that you're going to learn a lot. And I'm hoping, if you do, I'm hoping that you hit that subscribe button and that like button. Let's get started. While objects may move, what you need to know is that the beach is a predictable machine. Its clockwork predictability is based upon the laws of physics, the habits of people, and the forces of Mother Nature. Merrill, what the heck do you mean? What I mean is that if I could teach you what makes people drop valuables often at the beach, what tools and skills do you need to retrieve these valuables, and where do you need to look, then I've done my job, and you can spend your new discretionary income from beach detecting on a necessity such as buying a pair of grills. Now let's talk a little bit about the habits of people. Let's say that Merrill decides to go to the beach and he decides to bring all of his rings with him. He stays in the water for over an hour with his floaties. He doesn't think of the fact that his hands shrink when they get exposed to water. The sunblock that he used exacerbated the problem, and he drops all of the rings as well as the coins in his pocket. The swimming area is just one place where people lose valuables. Earlier that day, before the swim, Merrill put his stuff down in the sand. He was eager to get in the water, and he left one of the zippers open. By the time that he left the beach at the end of the day, his remaining coins spilled out of the pocket. Now let's really break this down. Here are the points where Merrill put his bag and lost coins and swam and lost all of his rings and pocket change. Look at those other people sitting on the beach. Chances are something similar might happen to them. But I said earlier that the challenge to the beach is that everything is moving. In order to be a great beach metal detectorist, you have to know where Mother Nature consolidates and how she consolidates. Fortunately, as you get to know the beach, you will begin to see that each beach is a predictable machine. Perhaps the most important thing that you can take from this video is to search between the high tide line and the low tide line. Now you might remember that Merrill spilled coins from his bag, but it was beyond the high tide line. I would recommend not going to get them. Let the tides do their work. Eventually, Mother Nature will pull those coins back into our sweet spot in between the high tide line and the low tide line. But do all coins and rings stay between the high tide line and the low tide line? Absolutely not. Many of these valuables go out to sea. And that's why you see some metal detectorists hunt underwater. In fact, I have an analogy for you. The sea is a lot like one of those coin pusher arcade games. If you put the quarter in the right spot and it drops in the right place, it might push other things around and you might hit the jackpot. Metal detecting is like that on any given day. Storms and strong currents can move objects at any given time, and a huge storm could make you hit the jackpot. But there's no guarantee that says all of the objects will remain on the surface, and that's where physics comes in. Now let's talk about the physics, and it's actually pretty wild. I'll tell you this right off the bat. Like objects tend to stick together. In other words, if you're talking about a quarter or a dime, those objects, they tend to stick together. And think about it, they're flat surfaces. Same thing, well, rings are not flat surfaces, but same thing with rings. You usually find rings at the same level. They all wash in somewhat together. And it makes sense if you think about it. If you're talking about gold, gold is one of the heaviest objects on Earth. Its molecules are heavier than almost anything else. And it's going to take a really strong wave or current movement in order to get something like that in. But what you find is you find the phenomenon of what I call, or what metal detectorists call, a coin line, where you could literally walk down the beach and you could see a line of coins that are just being pulled up one next to the other, next to the other. And there's also patches. Basically, if you find one coin like just sporadically, like that's away from others, that's a rarity. Usually, if you find one, you find others. And next, I'm going to show you techniques on how you could maximize your ability to get as much as you can from the beach each day that you go. What to look for. There are formations at the beach that give you clues that treasure could really be near. Now, memorize this. This is very important. That's a cliff. And it's basic beach erosion. But if you think about it, the waves came in strongly to that point and are starting to carve out from the sand, and it's like this little ledge that is right above there. And if you start to detect right in front of those, I've had some very good luck doing just that. Now remember, sometimes sand can build up, and just because you can't reach an object or your metal detector is it doesn't go deep enough, that doesn't mean that the object is not there. But these cliffs, they tell me that objects were pushed to this point, that the waves were going very hard to this point. So anytime you see a cliff, I would say search the 15 feet in front of it. And I mean the 15 feet in front of it all the way down the beach for as far as it goes. Formation 2 are beach depressions. Basically, think of gravity. You always want to search the lowest spots on the beach. Each beach has drainage, not man made drainage, but natural drainage that happens. And anytime that I see one of these, especially if they repeat in the same place, that tells me that water is going down there, water is seeping down there. And think about what you know about gravity and how it pulls um, various objects. Like if there is a sinkhole, water goes down there and pulls other objects with it. So I've had some luck over the years, to a lesser extent than the cliffs. But anytime that I see one of these depressions, I always walk through, and you'll be surprised what you find in there. I would say 3 or 4 rings in various beaches that I've found in areas where there is depression. You can tell that it's a depression because you see those lines, those water lines. That shows that there was standing water that was there. So that is the telltale sign. That's what you look for. They usually don't go all the way down the beach, but maybe 10, 20, 30 feet, and you want to search that entire area. For the overall slope of the beach, yeah, we want to see a downhill beach. We know we're going to have a good day if we see a downhill beach. Because think about it, objects sink, and let's say that there was a storm surge. Let's say that there was a huge storm that pushed a lot of objects in, but it also buried them in sand. Those waves that will follow that storm surge will eventually carve out and bring back some of that sand into the water and expose some of the coins and valuable objects that were left behind. So, if you start to see a beach that is going downhill from the high tide line all the way down to the low tide line, that means that there was some beach erosion that was taking place. And it's a very good sign that you're going to have a good day. So formation 4 is areas of wind erosion. So look at the grayish brown areas of sand right there. Those are actually iron particles. Not all sand are silicates. It's eroded rock, and there are many different types of rocks. Some are metallic. These metals are heavier than others, and they stay down even when a strong wind blows. But we're looking for areas of the beach that look bumpy, that look just not like regular vacation sand. This tells me that water was there, but it dried up, and the sand actually blew away. And remember, there's different types of erosion on the beach. Everybody thinks of water, but I'm telling you, if a coin gets pushed in, it often does not end up on the surface, and you need that wind to blow away some of the sand. So anytime that I see areas of extreme wind erosion, I make sure that I go and I detect them, and I've had good results because chances are the stuff that is there, it's on the top. And I've found a lot of surface finds in the areas where there's wind erosion. So, this part, I want to give you the full disclaimer. I don't claim to be an engineer or an expert in the functions of metal detectors, how they work. I do know how to use them, but in terms of the full description of this, I'm going to struggle. But this is what I know. There's VLF and there are pulse induction metal detectors. For the most part, the more popular beach detectors tend to lean towards pulse induction. And let's see, I've owned Bounty Hunter Discovery, Garrett AT Pro, Minelab Safari, White's Beach Hunter 300. My favorite of the four is the White's Beach Hunter, and it does not have dials that really tell you what the signal is going to be. A lot of the detectors that run on multiple frequencies, like the Safari and like the other three on the list, it gives you a number that tells you exactly what the target is going to be. And the Beach Hunter, it's got lights on the side, and that's the closest that it gets to it. But it runs mostly pulse induction. And when I was at the store, I was told that the best metal detectors are for the beach. That is, are pulse induction detectors. Um, my advice to you would be to read up on the metal detector that you're planning on getting. Because, man, I went to the beach with the first two, the Bounty Hunter and the Garrett AT Pro. And if it was freshwater, no problem. But once I got to the saltwater, that was when the struggles really started. So it was like switching detectors, and then I suddenly found all of this great stuff. It really was like that. So sometimes it's a little bit more of an investment, but I would consider it a worthwhile investment. Just a side note: two of these detectors I've paid for with the change that I found metal detecting, and that's kind of the fun of it. You get to practice, and you have a goal at the end. That's the way I'm wired. Maybe a few of you out there are wired the same way. But my big suggestion from this part is for the beach, look for a pulse induction detector or something that runs on multiple bands like the Minelab Safari. Um, I in the videos that you're seeing, including this one, you see me using the Safari. So that will work too. So it's either multi-frequency or pulse induction. Another tool that I would highly recommend is a sand scoop. It helps you because it speeds things up a lot. It has holes in it that are bigger than a dime, so that nothing that is coin sized can get through. And you could shake it or you can put it into the water and sift through it that way, but it just makes it really, really efficient. I'm going to be doing a lot of live videos, so you'll be able to see that in the live videos. But SandScoop I would consider to be essential equipment, although you can get by with just a regular shovel. Merrill, from start to finish, what is your exact process for detecting a beach? So, first thing that I do if I'm going beach metal detecting in a day is to check an app called Tides Near Me, and it basically gets your location and it lets you select a beach that's close to you, and it tells you what the high tide and the low tide times are. And basically, I look for the time that low tide is, because that gives me the chance to get out as deep as I can. And I plan my trip according to when that time is. Once I arrive at the beach, my next objective is to find the sweet spots. This is easier said than done because, like I said before, the objects at the beach are always in motion, they're always moving. I have an efficient process that I would like to pass on and recommend for you to try. And let me show that to you. Tip that I'm going to recommend to you is going to sound absolutely bizarre. So I'm going to recommend that you do X's all the way down the beach until you hit a patch where you have a lot of signals. Wait, what are you talking about? So basically, I would enter the beach and I am looking for my first signal. And I'm going to walk straight down to the water line, then I'm going to walk to the high tide line, back to the low tide line, and I'm going to keep doing this till I find my first signal. Now, signals almost always never happen in isolation. So I've been doing my X's and I got my first signal. I'm going to dig this, but I'm going to search around this. Let me dig this up first. But as soon as you get your first signal, you are looking for a patch because maybe there is more. So let me dig this up. Let's see what it is. Right here. Sounds like a quarter. Let's see what we got. It's a dime. Alright, so put that away. And now we're going to see the immediate area and look. Yep. See? So we have a verified patch in here. Now, after I start finding signals, I'm going to start narrowing my X's. Let me show you what I mean. So after I start getting hits, look at how I narrow the crisscrosses from the high tide line to the low tide line. They're basically twice as narrow as before. And also, if I stop hearing signals, I'm going to widen those crisscrosses. Believe it or not, there are actually people who grid the beach and walk up and down the grid. Oh God, I could not do that. That would drive me absolutely crazy. That would take the fun out of it. Remember to keep this fun. This is absolutely crucial to do that. Um, I guess it depends on your personality, but for me, I would never want to do that. I want to be free to roam, but I also want to be efficient with what I do. So this crisscross method, it's worked for me. If there's a lot of signals, I narrow it, and vice versa. Um, in closing, I'm also looking for all of the things that we brought up before, such as, are there cliffs? Are there lower areas? Is the beach sloping? And so forth. Is there areas of wind erosion? And while I do my crisscrosses, I apply that. Also, the beach is a predictable machine. Go back to the spots that you have found stuff before, because a lot of that could be caused by waves pushing it in the same spot. And that has to do with the underwater topography of the beach. There's a lot of repeat places where coins, rings, everything keeps washing in. So this is my process. Um, I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope that you took a lot from it. If you do, please subscribe because there is going to be more from this. I don't want to just be a metal detectorist here. I take pride in my teaching, and it's something that I love. So I want to teach it too. So anyway, again, I hope this helped. I look forward to your comments. I certainly read them all. And thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out my channel.